You might remember this guy here, Dan Wooton. He said some pretty bad things about Johnny Depp in The Sun. He was on Amber's side, and he wasn't very popular for quite a while. It turns out Dan got allegations levered against him. Dan got let go from pretty much everywhere he worked at, famously GB News and the Mail Online. But it seems like Dan's been cleared now by the Metropolitan Police who were investigating him. Well, that's what this report says. So let's take a look in more detail. It's from Media Guido. Never heard of them, but thank you for the article. Metropolitan Police investigation of Dan Wooten finds no evidence. Met decides no further action. Dan Wooten cleared by Metropolitan Police. Now, I gotta be fair, man. I don't even really want to say what I'm gonna say, but I can't say anything else and keep it real. And also, this is what we said about Johnny, about Marilyn Manson. So I have to give Dan the same treatment whether I like Dan or not. We didn't see any physical evidence. They didn't present the videos. They didn't have audio. They didn't have police reports, which I hold Evan Rachel Wood to, and Amber to, and any other accuser to, so I have to hold them to the same standards. There's no way around it. I say medical reports too for Evan Rachel Wood and Amber, but that's because the nature of what was happening is different. Obviously, this was kind of a peeping Tom thing, so there would be no medical report, but no victims, alleged victims, ever reported it, and we didn't see videos or audio, like I'm saying, so I know. That's the stance I have to take. I've got no choice. Let's keep going. And not to say that won't come out, but it's been a while, so if they've got the evidence or anything more than just what they're saying and what they're claiming, then we got to see it. And it begins. In the summer of last year, a number of allegations were made by Byline Times about Dan Wooten of a sexual nature, including allegations of criminal behavior. Wooten accepted he had made some errors of judgment, though he always denied any criminality. A complaint was made to the Met Police and an investigation commenced. In addition, the News UK began its own internal investigation covering his period under their employ. Guido understands that earlier this week, the Met Police decided that no further action would follow their 5-month investigation. Despite the lengthy investigation, Wooten was never arrested or charged. Okay, to take the other side, the skeptical side, Dan's got some power. He knows Murdoch. Could there be something going on? They pull some strings. They drop the investigation. It is a possibility. I personally tend to believe that Dan probably did this. I would personally believe someone got him out of it. However, I can't state for a fact that he did this. I can't say he did this because I have the receipts. I've got to say my opinion is he probably did it, but I don't know for sure, which is what I think everyone who's following Manson should say. You could believe he did it. That's fine. But don't say he did it for sure. And don't say because you know. Same thing here. The allegations and a disastrous interview with Lawrence Fox resulted in him being taken off the air by GB News. It is worth noting that The Guardian and Mirror have both pulled articles offline based on the byline stories. Other publications and broadcasters did not report the story. Wooten was lawyered up against Byline News, and a number of media figures have since thought it wise to delete their tweets on the subject. Dan always said it was a smear campaign. Looks like the police think so too. And that could be. It could be. I fucking hate to say it, but part of me thinks that's also a possibility. It's just that you can't trust Dan. So what do? I honestly don't trust both sides. Whatever political stance you have, that's fine. But from what I understand, Byline Times is fairly biased on one side. Dan is also fairly biased on one side. So you can't see his claim makes no sense at all. Because if you're watching the news, these days, political smears are abundant. Just to keep it real. But what I said before, I could personally feel what I want. But when I do the math, I just gotta say what my gut feeling is. And on this publication at least, which seems neutral, Dan's got some actual supporters, But wait, he's got a statement too. Update. Dan has just issued a statement. I was brought up to trust in the English legal system, to believe in freedom, due process, natural justice, and the rule of law. Maybe a sneaky diss at Johnny there, but alright. Obviously, the English legal system wasn't so good in his case, but I digress. The right of every man and woman to a fair trial, the presentation of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, glad to know Dan believes all that stuff now. But since July 2023, I was the victim of a politically motivated witch hunt through the left wing and social media led by a hard left activist, a convicted phone hacker, a convicted extortionist, and a deranged and abusive ex who had threatened on the record to slit my throat and previously admitted to being a psychopath with dark urges. Okay, he's talking about Alex Truby. I don't know so much about the guy. He's also worth noting on the same political side as Byline Times. So I gotta admit that doesn't look good. And when I say I gotta admit, I really mean I have to admit it. But I'd rather have the evidence against Dan. You could see I'm a little bit torn here. But if I don't keep it real, then what's the channel? The accusations made against me were completely lies designed to destroy my career, while complainants were actuated by malice. Well, 6 months on, I have now been completely cleared in 2 investigations by the Met Police and Scottish Police, who have confirmed they'll be taking no further action. While I knew this would always be the outcome, the process is now the punishment, with social media acting as the executioner. Wow! So we've got so many wheels spinning here. That's what you did to Johnny Depp, genius. How about realizing that? Margaret Thatcher once said that if you ever get trial by media or guilt by accusation, that day freedom dies. Well, that's happening all the time now, Margaret. So I guess, freedom dies. She was right. It is high time that all our ancient rights were once again upheld, chief among them to be the right to be presumed innocent until found guilty in a court of law. Marilyn Manson. If it falls to me to be the champion of those rights, then so be it. It's a fight I am more than willing to take up, not just for me, but for also Marilyn Manson. How about that? Sorry, it really bothers me about Manson's case, because he's a perfect example of victim by media and accusation with no evidence. All right, now people actually supporting Dan, on this website at least. Dan, bring it all in the open, reveal the vile accusers, get back on air. This person blames the far left. No further action doesn't exactly mean he has been cleared or that he's innocent. And Holly says, did you hear what he said? No trial by media. Did you hear what he said about Johnny and the Sun when he started a trial by media? Man, these people don't know that. And Peter wants to know if Byline Times and Alex Truby will be prosecuted or punished for telling these lies and accusations. And, well, I guess man or woman, you could make up accusations and you're, free to go, even if the person pays the price for it. That's the real thing we got to get here, is if the accusations aren't true and they're not proved to be true, the person making the accusations needs to explain themselves or face some punishment, or the job has to reinstate the person that they fired for the false accusations. Not going to read every one. There's over 100, but a lot of them were supporting Dan. Get him back on TV, this person says. Anyway, let me know what you think. We're done here for now. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.